Welcome to Nothing Less Than Extraordinary, and an amazing podcast dedicated to ordinary people like you and I that have done extraordinary things in our life. I want this to be a human celebration of the human struggle in this journey called life through its up and down and twist and turn. May their life stories inspire you to reach your greatness and to reach your full potential. It is going to be a lot of fun, lighthearted, and raw in all its form. We will cover topics such as love, depression, divorce, parenting, woman in business, anxiety, addiction, self-love, forgiveness, and so many more. I am super thrilled and honored to have you here. My name is Ridon. May you have a great listening. So welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning back into Nothing Less Than Extraordinary. And today I have an amazing guest. I'm like super excited. I even got dressed up. I wanted to just be on t-shirt and she's like so comfortable and confident. She's in t-shirt and I'm in this dress. I'm like, well, maybe with time. So welcome Waymatea Ellis. And I love the name.
Thank you, Ree, and congratulations on your new podcast. I already listened to your launch episode and I'm very excited for all of the following episodes.
Oh, thank you. And what a beautiful follow-up to have you come on. And also for the topic of today, we're going to be talking about circle healing. It is a topic that really piques my interest and we had covered a little bit, but I want to be able to bring this even to the forefront even more with everything that's happening with the pandemic. How perfect could it be?
Yeah, it's a very dear topic to my heart, so I'm glad we're going to chat about it.
Yes. Waymatea, I want to do like a really brief introduction about her. She's the one thing that I really love about her is she's bigger than life. Like you can see, she radiates this energy. And I remember when I met her through my friend Carolyn, the first podcast that we had, it's the book launch, and there was so many beautiful speaker there that you can win to kind of get like a 30-minute coach. And I was wondering, who do I get to go to? And I remember seeing you and I was like, I hope I get to connect with her. And you know what? I sent it on to the universe. And the next thing at the end of the day, they sent me an email and they said, you get to talk to Waymatea. I was like, what?
I love it. I just got little goosebumps. That's really cool. And I remember talking to you. It was so nice to connect with you. Such an easy conversation and lots of great energy. And I'm so glad you won that.
It was the best thing. And I really do believe in energy that you throw out. And there's something about you that really like the authenticity that comes across, which I really like. And I like the fact that you have the confidence to just be you. And Waymatea is bigger than life, as you know. I'm going to just briefly cover on some of the stuff that she does, but she's a mother of two beautiful girls. She's a professional musician who's been nominated for many awards, including the Juno Award. She is a healing practitioner. She's a health and wellness speaker as well, and so much more. If I look through her list, it's just too much for me to remember. So I hope I'm doing you justice here.
Perfect. It always feels a little, I was just having a conversation about this today, how do I tie all of those things in? Because that's kind of been no, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then I call it all love empire. And it's all really just this whole idea of helping through music, through healing touch, through circling up, through helping people learn their strengths. So it feels like the same thing, but sometimes it also feels like a laundry list of things.
Well, if there's somebody who really connects to a laundry of things, I'm that type of person who likes so many things at the same time. And sometimes I wonder if I should just focus on one project. Maybe I'll get more ahead if I just do that, but I can't because I think my personality likes to touch on a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and that interconnects and brings something else. That's just how I work. So I've learned, maybe I'm totally wrong, but that's how I learned to accept it.
Yeah, and I like that you accept it because I've had that same conversation with myself, and while I may be further along in one project, I have this image of it all marching forward at the same time. It's just ushering in the thing through that inspiration, which tends to tie in together. As I'm getting older, I can see more of the weaving in of it all makes sense. So I'm glad I never said no to music or no to circles, you know?
Mhm.
I'm grateful that I stuck it out.
Yes, and you had so much talent. I think different people. I did a test before with one of my neighbor. They're like my second parent. When I moved away from Montreal and went into more of the remote area in Rigaud. Not a lot of people kind of know where it is, but we're starting to discover. And there's a song like that goes along with Rigaud as well. But I kind of felt like I kind of lost connection because there's not a lot of Asian there. And also, oh, that's technology while we're
Yeah,
doing this.
totally.
And I felt like I was kind of a little bit out of place. But slowly, I think when you're learning to kind of reconnect and center with who you are, which is we sometimes go through like an identity where we evolve, but it's important to kind of come back to the source. So going back to my country back in Cambodia just about 2 years ago allowed me to really touch base on that source. And I want to be able to highlight and actually bring forward the circle healing. If you can talk a little bit more about it, because I know how much you're passionate about it, but it's such an amazing topic.
Thank you for that. And I want to tie in what you were saying there about expanding, because this is one of the principles of Circle Two, expanding beyond my current who I am, like landing in this place as I am,
Mm-hmm.
calling in my ancestral lineage, calling in my own personal wisdom that has been passed on to me,
Yeah.
at the same time as being open to other teachings, other ways of evolving. And that's one of the things that I love about circles. So, and circles have been holding us together in community
Mm-hmm.
for so long as we've had fire.
Yeah.
Because that's what the original circles would have been, right? Circling
Yeah.
around fire for protection, for warmth, for food, for community.
Yeah.
And so all of the women that I've ever circled with feel like they've landed at home in a way when they come into circle. So the principles that I'm always inviting people to participate in when they come into a joyful being circle
Mm-hmm.
is the idea that as you are,
Yeah.
please come.
Mm-hmm.
And so the protocol that holds that safe is that when someone arrives at, now we're doing them on Zoom, but even in physical circle, when someone is participating in circle, we're all there for our own healing, for our own presence, for our own evolution,
Mm-hmm.
and awareness and healing and all that.
Yeah.
And we're all there to simply witness others who have come there as they are, which
Mm-hmm.
nobody will give me feedback on my share. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
will recommend a program, a book, or some sort of solution. I
Mm-hmm.
get to come in and be either in a place of power and joy and calm, or I'm in a place of grieving or anger, or however I am, I get to come
Yeah.
and share myself.
Yeah.
And there's no agenda for me to
Mm-hmm.
be something else.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like that might be the most important principle of the
Mm-hmm.
circles that I've been grateful to have been taught to me. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't create these protocols. These protocols were passed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of the things that most of the women say, that they've never had the experience of sharing
Yeah.
without anybody going, I've had that same problem. You should try this. Or, you've clearly not done your work. Otherwise, you would, these kind of passive aggressive,
Judgment.
harmful things that happen when someone opens up and is vulnerable. So we
Yeah.
keep that a good.
I think even when you were describing it, I don't know, I'm a very sensitive to energy, but when you were describing it, it felt so powerful. Like I was just there, like, or maybe I'm just very creative in my mind. I see myself in the circle, in the energy of just coming as who you are at whatever stage of life or whatever you're going through, and
Mhm.
just being and just existing. And that is so powerful. I think sometimes certain work don't necessarily need to be spoken. It's what you feel, and all the energy that you feel around you, and how we kind of interconnect with one another. So I find that very beautiful. It's very powerful. So I want to get a glimpse, and maybe you kind of touched on it a little bit. So what can people expect when they join the
Mhm.
circle healing?
Yeah, thank you. So, what generally the first experience when somebody comes,
Yeah.
first of all, for everyone to know, I have an open circle and I have a women's circle. I tend to speak more about the women's circle,
Yeah.
um, but anybody who's joining will be at the very beginning. We take a deep breath and we all center, and I have a candle and I show it. If we're on Zoom, I'm like, here we are around our fire.
Mhm.
And everybody land here, everybody take a deep breath, so that we all, and you gave me a little bit of more goosebumps there, Ree, because it's like, I can close my eyes and I can see us around the fire. And when we do that, we're also opening up space for anyone who is looking for this fire. So we're like welcoming in the ancestral energy, welcoming in the protective beings and the beautiful
Mhm.
spirits, and whatever their thing is, right? There's
Mhm.
no rule about the guides that you bring in. And
Mhm.
then holding that space together. And then we have if someone's new that week, we'll have an introductory round.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of passing the talking stone, or however you visualize that, from
Mhm.
person to person. They share their name, where they're coming, where they're tuning in from, and why they were ever attracted or brought to circle, or what had them find this circle,
Mhm.
so that a new person would immediately just be able to participate in that round.
Mhm.
Where I'm from, what brought me here,
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I go over the protocols of the circle, confidentiality,
Mhm.
no side coaching. If we were in person, even if someone has a emotional release, it's
Mhm.
up to them when they grab a Kleenex to take care of themselves. It's never someone else trying to get them to stop crying. These
Mhm.
protocols are really made clear at the beginning of the circle.
Mhm.
And then we avoid all topics of politics, anything divisive, religion, or anything, current events generally. This last 2 years, I'm like, those
Yeah.
are all those are all
Talk
off the
about it.
table. Nobody gets to talk about, because essentially, and then it actually it compels the person to talk about themselves, which culturally we're really taught not to.
Mhm.
And then yeah, we do an introductory round, then we do a meditation. I do a guided meditation for them, and then we share at the end, how did that feel? How am I feeling now? Sometimes people will have had an emotional release, and
Mhm.
then I pull a card, do a little card reading at the end, and
Mhm.
it's so magical. And it's just an hour, but it really, most of the participants say it's the reset that helps them every Sunday to
Mhm.
go into the week and
Mhm.
be mindful and present and more
Mhm.
well. So that's
I already feel like I haven't even attended one of yours, but just in the description of how you're explaining it, it's funny. It just feels like I've already been there
oh
before.
yeah. No.
And you know what gives me another goosebump, Waymatea? Yes, I
Mm.
just saw a numerologist. I can never pronounce the name. I'm
Numerologist.
not, yes, and I'm not, and she did some energy healing as well. And I'm not into these things. I'm like very skeptical, a very logical kind of human being. And although I have like another sense, like a sixth sense of thing with energy that I do know exists that are not explainable through logic. Um, and I have a very strong intuition. And so, for whatever weird reason, I have a friend, just really briefly, a friend who spoken to me about hers and how she went to see, and it really helped her. It went in my brain, it went out because it
Mm.
was not something that really spoke to me. And then it just kind of sits in my brain for the next couple of days. And then I get this intuition, like something about the name of the person that she's spoken to me. And I just get a nudge in my intuition, like, you need to go see her. And I'm
Mm.
like, okay, why do I need to go see her? First of all, I don't even know what numerology is supposed to do. And I don't even believe in
Mm.
it. And like, what is this whole thing of energy healing?
Mm.
But I do know there is an energy that you can sense beyond, like, because I lived through it in my own life. So I know there's something that exists that I can't explain or logic wise. So every day it gets stronger and stronger. So eventually, when my intuition gets extremely strong, there comes a point where I can't like push it away. So I've learned over the year that when it becomes that strong, I need to tune in. There is something, a message in it that I really need to listen. So I eventually gave in. It's like really hard for me. I eventually gave in and took an appointment. And what came out of that was similar to what you had said when you said about the flame to exist, to be in the presence. And which brings us to this is that when she lit up, she told me, like, for you, Ree, is that something that I struggle with a lot is I like to celebrate other people. I like to really celebrate humankind. But I often kind of take myself out of the picture. And I thought that was okay to do that because that's something that I like doing. I don't like to see myself. And that's one of the reasons also why the second podcast and so on, many of the people told me, like, we want to see you. We want to be able to connect to you. I'm like, but do you really need to see me? Like, can I just put my picture in the front and a picture in the back? And that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
But she told me, Ree, you need to be able to claim your space. It is okay to be you. And I was always a little bit shy about that. Not that I was embarrassed about who I am or anything. I just like celebrating other people. So the first podcast I did was just about Carolyn. And I was so proud because she's an amazing person. And I was really happy with the result, but the came back was like, we wanted to connect to you. We heard your voice, but we couldn't associate. So after that visit of just talking about being in the present and being just you where you are and being okay with that. So here I am.
I love that.
But it connects to what you were saying and just coming and just being in that state where you're and where we're talking about something or doing something and it provokes a certain emotions inside of us and we do our own self-healing, but being among other women that are supportive. So I find that very fascinating.
Well, I think that you've said so many important things there, and I love that you shared that story because I can relate to the idea of just putting it on someone else, like showering them with affection and making them worthy. And there's lots we could talk about there, but what I wanted to acknowledge is that in circles, in the joyful being circle, one of the protocols, you're going to like this, is to speak in the first person.
Okay.
So if somebody, and we're culturally, at least in the West, trained in a way to speak in you and we, and it's a very ingrained, right? Like how if I'm describing myself going to go shovel the walk and I fall down on the ice, I might say, you know how when you shovel the walk and you fall on the ice, and I'm actually not talking about me. I'm talking about some random you. I might be talking to you directly, but I'm generalizing it and not owning my experience of shoveling the walk, slipping on the ice and falling down. And so the protocol of in circle, and it's interesting to watch how challenging it is for women to speak in the first person. And as soon as they start saying, I was on the sidewalk and I was shoveling and I fell down and I got hurt, it goes in deeper, depending on what they're sharing. And so it is the call and invitation to own their own importance and worthiness of this experience. No matter how trivial it might seem to someone else that fell on the sidewalk too. I'm sharing that I hurt myself. And all of a sudden my bones, my body, my brain, my heart, everything is like, it's me. I'm showing up here. I get to be seen here. It's a shift. And I've worked with some of my circle sisters have been in circle for close to 12, 13 years. And it took them that a length of time to
Mm-hmm.
spot when they were doing it, because there's something else that I'll add to that.
Yeah.
What's happening there is that it's making it that I can bypass my own personal emotional experience by speaking about someone, not me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I notice that I'm doing that, now I have to own my emotion. I have to feel it
Yes.
and then heal it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much more, and then to be witnessed by
Mm-hmm.
the others in the circle in owning myself, not being judged,
Yeah.
not being asked to change,
Mm-hmm.
being honored
Mm-hmm.
as I am. It's very, very transformative, I believe, for women to own it, that they are the important one.
Yeah. And I find that so like I said, it is extremely powerful. Like just even just talking to you, but maybe because I can sense your energy from the screen or something. Like it feels weird, but I can feel the impact of it. And it is very powerful. Just being in your own being and accepting who you are as of now with all your flaws.
Hmm.
And that is such a hard thing for many women, and not that some men don't have to go through this as well, but I think for us as a woman, I've always asked that question to wonder, is it something that's been passed on societally? Is it an expectation that we were grown as a child, as a young girls, to have this, like it's all about everybody else and we kind of forget about ourselves? I know for me in my culture that's true. I've always been raised where I watch a lot of movie, and the hero was always the one that did the right thing, which is something I try to always do, even in the hardest of circumstances, in the most untraditional way possible. So taking the path that nobody dared to take, but at the same time, it was always focused, because if you turn the camera on yourself, in my culture, it is seen as you being hypocritical or equal, like center on yourself. So for many, many years, until after I got my divorce and kind of said, oh, where am I in this equation? Like,
Mm.
there's the kids, there's the husband, there's the family, there's everybody else that I have to take care of, my employees. And it was okay to forget about myself until the day where I said, I don't see myself in the equation. I don't even know who I am anymore. And then when I
Yeah.
took back that power and slowly just kind of said, okay, it's okay. Like I'm learning, I'm still in the baby step of kind of, I love myself. It's not that I don't love myself. When I'm with Ree, I have a lot of fun with Ree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, because I love life, and I love a good party too. So I throw really good parties. but
Mhm.
it was just like when I'm with myself, I'm good because I know that I can, like I'm content with myself. I don't need to impress nobody. I don't live life based on, like there's nothing that really fascinates me like prestige and all these things. And that's okay. Everybody has their own thing. I'm not judging nobody. Like for some people, they might like glory and they might like admiration, and that's fine and that's okay. You need to just assume who you are, and it's okay to
Mhm.
like those things. But for me, I'm not a person who is easily impressed by stuff. I like the simple stuff of life. I like the ordinary thing. And that's why my podcast is about ordinary people, but who've done amazing things. Because I really think, I believe in the Greek book about the immortal completely being jealous about the mortal and all the courage they were able to exhibit. So for me,
Mhm.
it's a prideful thing. I'm kind of sidetracking a little bit here, but I think to come back to saying, this is who I am, and I'm assuming my place, my spot, and however slow it may take you, but it's important to do that. And so every day when you're talking about the flame with your circle group, I try to, because she had suggested that I lit a candle. Like, I mean, it may seem silly, but I think there's nothing really silly. I always practice about not judging, especially
Mhm.
not judging other. The hardest part is not judging yourself. I find that's the one that I struggle with the most, because I put high expectation on myself to be a certain way, to be extremely performing, to be very good, to be super productive. But the one thing, the playful side of me as a kid helps to balance that out. So I have the playful side inside of me, and I have the more productive part. And then the playful side, once in a while as a kid, I see myself going, I think you've been serious enough. I think it's time to have a little bit of fun. And I give myself the permission to be silly. Like with my friend, I might not be the funniest because I'm really horrible at jokes. I can't remember the lines of jokes. I will ruin a good joke. I mean, ask all of my siblings, they're like, oh God, you're the worst. But I allow myself to just be silly and just be like me. So you either take me as who I am with my imperfection, or you don't like me, and that's okay too. Because I believe everybody's meant for somebody, and there's a group of people that no matter what you do, they're still going to like you. And the ones who, no matter how perfect you are, you just don't fit that criteria. And so that's okay. So coming back to that, I'm kind of losing on a tangent, but I want to be able to, I think for joyful being, and especially for women, it is so powerful. So the question comes down, is it something that's been passed down? Is it genetic? What do you think it is?
The circles, do you mean? Or what do you, oh, you mean that feeling of not wanting to be egotistical,
Yes.
and that, is that what
Yeah.
you're asking?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also like for
Well,
not wanting to clean up
yeah.
your space. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. All of that, right? So
Yeah.
probably, I mean, I think sometimes I think in ways that we are in an ancestral line, we're also in an energetic line, and we're also in a soul line.
Mhm.
So I kind of, a long time ago, I was like, doesn't matter which line. Somebody's informing me right now. Something inside of me is informing me.
Yeah.
Is it serving me? Is it not serving me?
Mhm.
And if it's informing me to take up less space, it's probably a protection coming out
Mhm.
of one of those lines. If it's saying, don't be, don't be so self-centered, I
Mhm.
tend to think there's a lot reinforced in our current culture that tells children, don't
Yeah.
brag, don't think you're so great, you
Mhm.
know. And I actually am a school teacher by trade. I was a school teacher for 15 years. And one of the things that I really tried and really did was to say to them, you're important. Let me hear how many ways you are awesome.
Mhm.
If they couldn't figure it out, I'd be like, you know what I've noticed? I noticed that you always let someone in front of you, when you're going out the door. I've noticed that you laugh like and roll around on the floor and you're just a ball of joy. I've noticed that you never run out of energy. I noticed that your shoelaces are funky and they don't match. Because if we gave the children the permission, in this case, I think it is a generational thing that we're passing down. Don't make yourself too noticeable. Don't be so big on yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe if we taught them, please give us your gift. What is it? Let me get to know you better. I
Mhm.
acknowledge all of the beautiful things that are unique to you.
Mhm.
Um, and then we would be growing up with this idea that it's okay to take up space because everyone else is also taking up space.
Mhm.
And it's a generosity for me to get courageous and take up space because my gift will then be offered into the whole, it'll to be
Mhm.
offered into the community. So, it doesn't matter maybe where it comes from, it
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah.
And if we could change the languaging,
Mhm.
um, you know, when I was young, I was the eldest in my family and I
Mhm.
was a performer. I was a musician and we traveled around when I was really young and did music. And then I used to play at school and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that there was somewhere, and I can't really tell you exactly when, but somewhere along the way that somebody was like, stop making it like you're the star or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I then like
Yeah.
flipped it around. So now I'm like hiding behind people
Yeah.
until it's like I have to get up my nerve to go out in front. So it changed the openness of my delivery in the world of
Mhm.
thing that I think I like music. I want to
Mhm.
express grief and joy and everything in between through
Mhm.
this venue. But somewhere along the line, somebody was like, you know, you're not that great, or you
Yeah.
could, there's so many things that you could do differently, or just whatever these little pokey
Yeah.
things are.
Yeah.
If we, and then, part of my healing and all that is to shed all of that and
Mhm.
understand that I can take up space and I am actually required to give my
Mhm.
gift. the world. I should be, the shoulds aren't that great, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
But if we could take a look at this cultural tendency to not only have those that are bold feel
Mm-hmm.
apologetic and shameful about being bold, what about those who are quiet and observant and contemplating and doing the work in their way? Why are we saying, hey, you should be more outgoing, you should smile, you should,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things are just changing the nature of each of our beings so that we feel like we're not doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I'm not doing myself right. I'm a soul having a human experience and I'm getting it wrong. How do I fix that?
Yeah.
So there's something that hopefully culturally we could address, or in the school system, or even in
Mm-hmm.
parenting, or how we see ourselves, that we could um, allow the diversity of expression,
Mm-hmm.
all of its beauty, all of it,
Yeah.
to be celebrated and acknowledged and lifted up.
Yes. Oh, I find it
Right?
so beautiful what you said there. It's exactly what I've been wanting to hear and also to bring as well. So you summarize it so beautifully. I can't do it a better job at that. And I want to highlight also because it's I see now the connection. You're a teacher before, and how you when you explain things, it is so easy to understand, and there's a certain method and a softness about it. It's amazing. And I want to take this moment also. I've always believed that teachers are powerful in the lives of children.
Mm.
They're underpaid and overstressed. So I want to highlight that as well as many other professions as well. But teacher for me has always been something that I admire a lot because it's not easy. And I want to thank you because you had mentioned something that really shine a light with regards to my daughter, like, about taking space and what we tell our children. I forget sometimes these things that I say, like, it's true. I do remember people saying, don't take up too much space. Well, you think you're so good. And then we're like, oh, maybe I'm not that good. And I'm like, why? When you were a kid, you didn't care. You're like, I'm good at this stuff. Like, can I just be and can I just exist? But
Mhm.
then we get repeated by adult or by friends who are older than us, like, you take too much space. What, you think you're going to be better than us? Like, just be, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe now I'm going to talk a little bit less. But I think there's something definitely changed the discourse with kids. And thank you for that, because I am very careful when I'm talking to my children. And I'm always, because I'm so connected to my inner child, that when I do talk to them, I remember what was it like to be them and what would I want to hear my mom or my dad say to me. But as human, when I'm stressed, there's no
Exactly.
process. There's just comes out the way it comes out. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh God, what a horrible mom I was.
Oh, I think all the moms can be with you on that one. And I just, even that is like, I'm human, right? Like that piece is because it's so perfectified through all the movies of all the like the ideal mom and the
Yeah.
ideal house and the ideal zero dust and no
Yeah.
piles of laundry and never yelling, never losing our temper. That's unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
just human beings, like
Yes.
having
Trying to do our best.
ah
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And that's a hard one to accept, but I'm trying. I think what saved me as a child, when people are repeating to me like all of these things, what you think you're so good, because I used to be a really bossy kid. Like I wanted to teach everybody everything I learned. I'm like fascinated, guys, you got to hear this out. I'm going to show you something. Like I was super bossy. And but then so many people kind of repeated to me, like, you think you know it all. And I'm like, I don't want to be a know-it-all, because a know-it-all is like not, it's not something that people like. So maybe I shouldn't be a know-it-all. And then you try to change yourself a little bit. But the one thing that really saved me is that internally, I don't know where I got the strength, but maybe it's like you said. And I think I do carry our ancestor strength and their ability as well. Sometimes there's certain things that I'm able to do. Like I can shoot stuff like right into the arrow without even knowing, like, I don't know where this comes from. It's not me. It's probably passed on. I just had the ability. So I know there is something inside of you or ancestor. I do when and I like Oprah's quote as well when she shows up into like male executive, like businessman, and you have to talk business wise. And she goes, when she show up, what gives us her strength is to think about all of her ancestor and everything that they gone through. So when she show up, she's not just one person, she is showing up in the thousands and the million of people behind her who had paved the path to where she is today. And I find that extremely powerful. So when I'm scared, because we all get scared, and when we talk about courage, I often say this to my kids is when we talk about courage, it does not mean that you're without fear. Fear is ever present, but you are choosing to take a step forward, knowing you might fail, knowing it might not turn out the way you want, but you are trusting yourself and you're believing in whatever conviction and you're doing it anyway. Trust me. I practice being courageous even when I'm not courageous at all. And when there's something that needs to be done, like launching the podcast, I was like, I'm not ready. I'm like, let me just prepare a little bit longer.
Exactly. And then that will never happen. That's what happens is waiting to be fully ready.
Yeah.
And that's when the life, as Wayne Dyer used to say, don't die with the music still in you, like because you were waiting for it to be perfect.
Oh, there we go. We can
and here it is. She's waiting for it to be perfect. It will never.
It's okay.
Sorry. We just recently got a home phone, and it's so that my youngest has a phone that she can use. And so it kind of reminds me of the old days, having a ding, ding, ding in the middle.
Yeah, I like it. I like the imperfection about stuff. I'm not really shy like that. Just before you saw my boyfriend in and out, his phone is popping and there's things. Yeah. Oh, well.
It's life. And this is the thing that we were just talking about it, right? We don't want it to be perfect because first of all, it's unapproachable for like, I find that when I follow Instagram accounts and I look at it and I'm like, wow, I could just never have it that perfect, like the color coordination and everything. And I'm like, I'm out. I can't. But if I go on there and I'm just foolish, then the only way forward is up. You know, I'm not setting it too high. But that goes for us too. Like paralysis comes from the need for perfect. And I had a really good friend tell me once, if you've got a program, like I had my Brave and Beautiful program, I launched it many years ago. It's 13 months long. It helps people move from seeing their baggage into a blessing. And it's this beautiful. And he goes, I go, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. This was a long time in, months and months. And he goes, is it like 60%? I'm like, yeah. He goes, launch it. Launch it before and just keep doing it at that percent. And that's 60% of absolute perfection, then we're good. Even if it's 20%, 30%, like if I do 5 sit-ups today, it's way more than none. Like,
yes,
you know, like this idea, this movie culture, this happily ever after culture, it's paralyzing to so many of us who just have so much music in us, you know, like that's
it. There's so much creativity that needs to come out and we're just kind of keeping it bottled up and it just wants to explode.
Yeah. And that becomes, and so this is back to the thing you were saying about the ego. Yeah. And I always thought, oh, I don't like that word, but I understand it now that it's actually what children are born with, like completely like self knowledge only. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like they call it egocentric, but that's a child, baby only has that. But if I'm sharing my gift, only thinking about me, then I'll be paralyzed. But if I'm sharing my gift, okay, that it's not perfect for my own personal critic, but that people are getting value, feeling better, releasing their trauma, releasing their grief, then I'm not going to be nervous to share. I'm going to be okay to share because I can see, oh, someone said that really helped them. I wonder how many more people that might land for. Now I'm not focused on me. So that's the irony of even being in circle, is that I'm here for me. Yeah. And at the same time, I get the honor of purely witnessing other people that are there for them.
Yeah.
And there just becomes this weaving of,
Mm-hmm.
all right, to be focused on me to
Mm-hmm.
get better. And then I'll be able to have so much more of myself to give
Yeah.
into the world. Like the old oxygen mask in
Mm-hmm.
the plane situation. You can't help anybody if you can't breathe.
That's right. That's
You know?
right. And I try to remind myself often of that. There's so many things that you just said that is so good, that's so juicy. And I really believe in the universe and how it's structured, the way our talks is evolving. I can't ask it for even better. I couldn't script this to be just as good, but it's so raw and it's so authentic. So thank you for that. But also, I have the perfect person for this kind of talk. So you're being, and the fact that you come from Edmonton, I'm like, yay, cheering on my my fellow Canadian citizen from elsewhere. Like, I love Canada. I mean, if I could have like a guest from every province, I would do that. But I'm
Mhm.
just so happy to have you here and to have the talk that we have and to be really candid about it and have an honest conversation. I mean, if people want to lead a perfect life, that's great, but I'm not for that. I like to live a raw and vulnerable and just be who I am. And that's that. And I'm hoping that somehow our story and what we do can maybe inspire some other people. And there's like a little click in their head and they go, oh, I didn't see it that way. So I'm so happy to have you on. I
I'm so
also wanted to because at the very end of it too, I'm going to be able to put your link as well so that people can go and learn a little bit more about it. And they should definitely do it because I think in the past, I haven't done circle. I did circle for indigenous people for understanding their story, which was extremely powerful. And I did it for an hour, and that really brought me to tears, just reading a child, like a 7-year-old child's story when he lost his land. And I
Mm.
remember promising to myself, because I was with other colleague, I didn't want it to cry.
Mm.
I wanted to look like I'm strong. I got this all put together. And so I read the line of the 7-year-old like a good 30 40 times in my head, to just like when it was time to pronounce his word, that I'd be okay, not choked up. But I couldn't. Like, as soon as I read his word, it felt like somebody else was talking through me. And it may seem weird to say that, but sometimes certain things, and just talking about passport today too, I want to tell you a story that's funny because you're waiting for the call from the passport. I've been looking for my passport since I moved for a little bit over a year and a half. And I can't find my passport. And I need to be able to do it because I want to be able to travel eventually.
Mhm.
And one day out of the blue, I came home and my boyfriend puts his key of his car always in the same drawer on this little cabinet next to our entryway for a whole entire year. He never seen the passport. And that particular day, out of nowhere, the passport just appeared. I mean, he's like, oh, so I came home. He's like, honey, you found your passport. Wow, congratulations. I'm like, what are you talking about? I still haven't found my passport. I'm still filling out forms for the government to be able to submit it. And I'm willing to pay for my lost passport. It's going to cost me close to $200 for it. Like, when I'm ready to do it. And driving home that day, I was like giving myself a hard time for forgetting to ask my friend to sign as, like, my guarantor for.
Mhm.
Like, oh, this is going to take me even longer. And then he said, well, you found your passport. I'm like, I didn't find no passport. I don't know what you're talking about. And then he brought the passport to me and he opened up the passport. And the last time I traveled, I had saved like little pictures and drawing when I was in Cambodia and Thailand. And it just fell out of the passport. And I knew right away, that's my passport. And I was
Wow.
like, what? And my boyfriend got really freaked out. He's like, what's happening here? Like, this has never happened before. Like, explain to me logical, because he's very logical. Explain to me how this passport got here. He's like, I'm sure it's the kids. So I asked the kid, they're like, I have no clue what you're talking about. I'm like, I didn't touch the passport. So it
Mhm.
could be a whole bunch of different reasons. But I like to think that sometimes certain things are inexplainable.
Mhm.
and things happens for whatever reason, and it may be just me being like, I'm just happy to find my passport. I don't have to pay 200 bucks. That's it.
Yeah. No, stuff like that. I love things like that because sometimes there is no explanation. And
Yeah,
that's a window into the sacred. Like there's
yeah,
no logical way to
yeah,
explain why this missing object is now here,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so it like keeps the mystery. I love that there's some mystery in life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad you found your passport.
I mean, me too. It's like that paper filling out is like it's taking forever trying to get people to be your guarantor, your witness and stuff, and signing and then paying and with everything with the pandemic. I heard that it takes longer to get the passport as well. I was like, oh, sounds like a hassle. I'm like, and then I'm just, please, praying, could you just please find my passport? And honestly, I find every day, the more I live in gratitude, the more I live in the present moment. I don't know, or maybe my energy has come to a certain level where I don't know. I'm just blessed. Just I hope this gift doesn't go away, where I can just ask for a thing in the universe and it just ta-da!
Yeah. The better, the more you do it, the easier it is. I find,
Yeah,
and you said it like just to be uh, in appreciation, in gratitude. That's like the open ticket to the creating what you want. You
yeah, it's
know,
like the gateway to.
yeah. I always say to my kids like, if they want something, or if they're in a bad mood, or if they've had a terrible day or something, I'm like, what's the fastest way
Yeah.
to feel better? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the fast track?
Mm-hmm.
And it's to appreciate just this next breath, this
Yeah.
coffee, this technology, this conversation, to appreciate the sun, things that are just like my, I have 10 fingers or whatever. I'm appreciative of something very much in my vicinity. All of
Yeah.
a sudden now I'm more powerful. I
Mm-hmm.
can create better and more efficiently than from a place of hammering through.
Mm-hmm. Is there any technique that you can maybe be able to share with people in being like grateful? Because it's sometimes hard for people to do.
Yeah.
Because people tell me like, okay, like I know it sounds like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be grateful, but my life feels like everything is going down to hell, and it's really
Mhm.
hard to be grateful. So, is there something that you may be able to share with them that they can maybe leave behind and put into practice?
Yeah. Well, a couple things that I could suggest for that. And if the person that you're describing is so just like everything sucks, I hate this,
Mm-hmm.
that is probably not an easy place to go from there to gratitude because
For sure.
it's just too wide.
Mm-hmm.
And this is me just sharing with you teachings that I have learned over the last at least 30 years from Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you've followed them. That's the first place I would go if somebody's looking for a way to appreciate their life more, is
Mm-hmm.
to Google Abraham Hicks and listen to a few videos. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say if a person was in that despondent of a place or just really rotten mood, go outside, go outside and get some fresh air, like walk,
It does feel different. It's true.
Yeah, just get outside, even if it's nighttime, daytime, cold, hot, doesn't matter, just some fresh air. Move your legs back and forth in a walk. And I say that back and forth in a way to just describe what a lot of people don't realize is even just toning the
Mhm.
vagus nerve or having the brain respond by having less stress hormones. Those
Mhm.
bilateral tapping by walking
Yeah.
is why people go for a walk. I just think it's brilliant that we can do that. If a person doesn't have the ability to go for a walk, being outside and just squeezing their right fist and squeezing their left fist and just imitating that
Mhm.
bilateral re-regulation of my nervous system. If we're in
Mhm.
the car and somebody cuts us off, I'm always like, "You girls tapping it out?" They're like, "Yeah." You're like they already know. They already know. So
Adorable.
it's the whole thing. So that, I mean, that would be for somebody who's really just in an icky place. So
Mhm.
once they get out of there and catch some fresh air,
Mhm.
take a deeper breath, settle into maybe a few deep breaths,
Mhm.
then the very favorite exercise of mine is to pick someone or something that
Mhm.
they love,
Okay.
they're not currently at odds with. So their puppy or
Mhm.
ice cream, right? Like something that they love without
Mhm.
any argument about whether they love them or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then just write like ice cream on a piece of paper and like what I love about ice cream. What do I appreciate? I love how it feels when I have an ice cream cone. I love going to the ice cream shop. I love the way it feels in my mouth. Like, I don't know, I'm going into ice cream. I've never done a rampage of appreciation on ice cream,
Flower. I do that with flowers.
okay. So yeah, flowers,
Flower. I get
like
consumed into the flower, its
yes,
texture,
their
its scent.
shapes and
Yeah.
the different colors. So you could literally write a whole, I'm sure you could write a whole page very easily of the things that you appreciate about flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that that's doing is it's just raising your vibration
Mm-hmm.
to a place where all of a sudden this morning it felt like everyone hated me. Every email was so full of anger and altercations were everywhere. I had a tough time in traffic. I stubbed my toe on my way into the office. All of a sudden, all that was kind of mucky down their energy. I went outside, I had a walk, I had a little bit of appreciation moment for something I already love.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm good. Wow, that person that emailed me, I remember their mom is ill and I just feel for them. I'm sure that it's time to show up for work when they're trying to take care of their single parent, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden I've got more capacity for integrating more high energy thoughts and compassion and understanding and patience and
Yeah.
desire for peace. So this is it's I wouldn't recommend this, like people do this wait to feel really really rotten to do the appreciations. I would say start every day with the appreciation so that your base level is just a little bit higher so that you can feel when you sink down.
Mm-hmm.
But this level is like
Mm-hmm.
today looks like a pretty good day. That's a really good place to start appreciating, right? And then like a month later, they're like waking up. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited I get to blah, blah, blah today. It's
Yeah.
just shifting slowly
Mm-hmm.
to a better place. But coming from the really worst place, there's got go for a massage, go pet your dog, go
Yeah.
for a walk,
Whatever speaks
to
to you. And I think you really brought some good point raising the vibration. I did read a book or heard it on a conference about vibration, raising the vibration. And we do it unconsciously, not knowing. But definitely your technique about going outside, oftentimes when we're stuck with working from home, doing telework, I find my mood, like I'm a very, very happy, full of energy, but my mood kind of somber as the end of the day kind of draws in. And then I go outside and it changed. There's something in my brain or the movement, like you said, with the hand and the legs and stuff, something changed in my brain. And I often tell my boyfriend, I'm like, okay, we need to go for a walk. I can't, like, I love my house. I feel very safe, very in love with the house. And honestly, I love my house. It just radiates a lot of love in here. It's the first home I own myself. And I picked it. Well, that's another story for another time. It wasn't me who picked it, but my sister picked the home for me. Another goosebump story,
okay.
another day.
Yeah.
But getting outside and just getting that fresh air and looking at nature and just seeing the birds, all of a sudden you kind of feel like it's not all about you. You feel like, and that's when it's so important when you think like we often forget because we're in our problem that we're so consumed by it that there's so much more beyond just us. And so when you're exposed to being outside, being in nature, you realize you're just one small human being in this cosmos of these beautiful creation. And when you're talking about raising the vibration, that's the reason why I often suggest to my clients as well in therapy is that make sure you do something that you love to change the level of energy, to raise that vibration a little bit higher. It's not a question because they're thinking like, I'm avoiding my problem, but you're not avoiding your problem. You're just actually right now, you're not at a good point. And like Einstein says, there's nothing like a break, right? Take a break with your problem because like hovering over it and dwelling on it is not going to make the solution pop out anytime soon. You're just going to go further down in the hole. So go take a break, do something else, change your vibration. I don't know, go knit, go do gardening, put your hand, get dirt on your hand and feel nature. I find nature is also very good as well. And a dog, a cat, being exposed to. I can watch cricket. Like this year, my boyfriend bought a gecko for my son, and
Yeah.
I have to feed them crickets.
Mm.
I find myself in awe with watching crickets, like just watching them. And I feel so happy. I forget where I'm at. And it's the same thing with my bird. He bought, so my son got the gecko, and my boyfriend bought me a bird. So
Yeah.
like a dove in Tohtohel. I don't know what it is in English, but it's a beautiful, beautiful bird. And it's the first bird I own. I've always dreamed of having a bird, like kind of like Snow White with a bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
On her, and I can just talk to it. She might understand or not understand, but it's the first bird I have. And I just watch her just pecking on food and seeds and playing in with my palm tree. And that to get lost in the moment and to kind of just appreciate things and to change your vibration, you come back to the problem. I always like when I hit a roadblock, I pause. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, we're gonna put this on ice. And even in couple two, when we argue, I'm like, we're not going there. Like, this is
Mhm.
not solving anything. We had an interesting conversation the other day, like with my boyfriend, and that's another topic for another day. But we paused it. I was like, this is not going anywhere good.
Mhm.
And we love each other too much. We're not ruining an evening. I'm not putting up with this. So
Mhm.
we're going to turn the page. We're going to hold each other's hand, even if we don't want to be better. And you know what? Because we put that structure in place,
Mhm.
it actually worked out. The next day, we're like, we don't really know why we argue. It was like, it was so silly. So I'm losing track here, but all that just to come out, raise your vibration and do something else. So practice, like what you said, go, like if you're from a really, really far place of feeling gratitude, you got to be gentle with yourself, like allow yourself to practice one little step at a time. And people get really good at it is because they practice. Like the reason why I am more optimistic, it's because one, it's my personality, but two, I've been practicing this since I was a child. Like my father always taught me in life, you should always see two sides to like reality. There's always the good and the bad. You got to always look for the positive. Like, what can I learn from that? Yes, I don't like it, except that you don't like it. But what is the treasure? And today, when I encounter obstacle,
Mhm.
when I get very scared, I tell myself, okay, I'm super scared, but I know delaying it is only going to make the monster and the fear even bigger. And by then, I'm not going to do anything because I'm going to paralyze. And I'm
Yeah.
going to feel continuously worse and worse about myself. So when you
Mhm.
were saying, what can I do to make it feel better? What is the fastest shortcut to it? And
Mhm.
sometimes you need time to reflect. You don't have the answer right away. And
Mhm.
maybe it could be through meditation, talking over with a friend, seeing a therapist to get some clarity. Because when you're in your own problem, you can't solve your own problem necessarily either. So it's
Mhm.
nice to have like an outsider objective view to kind of help you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm. I want to be able to do this, and because it's carrying quite a bit, but it's so interesting. I want to be able to say some of your platform as well. Like, I want to highlight that for you if there's like passion and things that you want to forecast and bring it to the attention of the world. So, this is the moment I would love for.
The opportunity, and what I've been spending a lot of time on is been Instagram.
Mhm.
I share there about just all the different things, music, parenting. I'm a homeschooling single mom, and there are a few of us out there. So that's kind of a unique little niche,
Mhm.
and just wellness tips and things. So, and if somebody was interested in applying to participate in I have a Joyful Being, very kind of high level, high touch
Mhm.
masterclass circle, if you want to call it that. We really we dig into the work.
Mhm.
We do lots of exercises, and sometimes we'll do a whole theme for a little while. Right now we're in the middle of manifesting, so we're in the middle of
Mhm.
this really juicy, awesome theme.
Mhm.
So just feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. It's at Waymatea. So I pretty sure that there's only one with that name.
There's
And so that makes it easy. And then And then, if somebody wanted to just try it on and see how it feels to do meditation,
Yes.
and in a non-threatening, really welcoming, non-judgmental environment that I am very determined to keep safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it very seriously when people trust me to join Circle. We have an open circle, and it's a pay what you can circle.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody can just come on a one-time basis and see what it's like. So again, reach out on Instagram or even Facebook or anywhere, any platform really, and I will give you all the information you need to try that out. And then one last thing that I will share is that my band
Yes.
Instagram is High Life Sound Collective. So we just released a song on the 22nd of February, and
Wow.
it's called Are You Ready? And it's a song all about, well, we've been here for 2 years. We've
Mm-hmm.
had lots of time to do the thing that you were going to do if you ever had extra time,
Mm-hmm.
clean the closet, do the gardening, do all these
Yeah.
things. But the hook of the whole song is, I hope you've prepared for this love. Are you ready for love? So just, we really do need that right now, to see what's similar between us rather than what's different, and
Mm-hmm.
to be together as human beings in a moment that has been unprecedented in many, many ways, but also a repeat of things in the past that we've seen. And the only solution that I can see is
Mm-hmm.
to see the common good between us all. So
Mm-hmm.
that song is a anthem of unity and love. So are you ready?
Oh, oh,
And it's
it's
on
beautiful.
Spotify
And
and
your
all
music
everything.
too.
Thank you.
She's like beyond just when I say I'm so attracted to her energy, it's really the rawness of how you are as a person and what you carry out. It's the simplicity, and it's the uniqueness about who you are. That's why there's no two names like yours. You have so much talent to share. So I'm super honored to have you here today. And thank you for agreeing to being on my podcast. I want to be able to give you the last line of one quote, if you could leave people with, that you carry through in your life that has allowed you to keep pursuing and continuing. What would that quote be?
Well, I have it above my desk, and I want to give a little background to it. So
Yeah.
I'm a big Lord of the Rings Tolkien.
Me
Are you? Okay. So yeah, no. And I feel like that those stories,
too. Mm-hmm.
especially from this quote, are like, doesn't matter what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep going.
Oh.
I've been through a lot of those pieces in my life, those times where I'm like, I actually feel blinded by how much is in front of me. I can't see my way out of this hole, of this darkness, out of this grief and trauma. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, like you, I feel like something in me, and it's probably my parents, is just so determined in that ancestral
Mm-hmm.
band almost, that I just keep going. So
Mm-hmm.
the quote is, I wish it not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a quote that I will definitely include into. I have a few quotes that I go by because I can't have too many quotes because I have to live with one. But this is definitely going to stay. And how amazing it ends with this. It kind of like circle it so perfectly. It's an amazing quote. I love you so much,
I
Waymatea.
love you too.
Oh, I can't wait to talk to you on the phone eventually. But for today's session, thank you for your lovely present. Thank you for the authenticity and just for being you. You look gorgeous. I was like staring at you all this time with the little
Thank
the
you.
beautiful glasses and then like, the little dark dots on you. I was like, she's so good looking.
You're the best. You look gorgeous as well. And I'm glad you did get dressed up and look so
Dressed
beautiful.
up just for you because I'm like, normally I just tame it down.
Yes, it's perfect. It's just to come as you are. And it was perfect for what we talked about. And I just congratulate you on this podcast. You're a natural at this. I hope that you feel encouraged to go forward and have lots more of this to come for you. I see it being really reaching a lot of people and being really important. So keep up the awesome work.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for all the love. You radiate that. And for me, it's all like an interconnection of supporting one another. Like you said, It's about unity and bringing similarity. And that is why our path crossed. When I saw you on that video with Carolyn, I'm like, I really hope that the whoever up above puts Waymatea on my path. And thank you for him doing that, him or her, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
You're so welcome. Big blessings to you.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody. So have a great day. Bye, Waymatea.
Bye, Ree.
Bye.